Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the third part in our five-part Death and Taxes series, Which Advance Directive Forms Are Right for Me? In order to do a little bit of an icebreaker and to get us in the mood for this conversation today, I'd like you to think about 3 words or less that represent how you think about or feel about doing paperwork. So I'll go ahead and start. When I think about doing paperwork, I think about doing the finances for my family every month, which is sometimes more than once a month. And I feel both dread, but a sense of completion. Lisa, would you go next?
Sure. The first thing that came to my mind was get it done. That's all, just get it done. Kimberly.
I always just think like, I don't know, find time to do it, like try to schedule it in my day, like at night or something. And Jen, you can go next.
I always think overwhelming and daunting and paper cuts. Victor?
It's simple. I hate it. Those are my 3 words. I shouldn't be admitting to that because I have some, a good amount of paperwork in my current job. But yeah, I hate getting to it.
Thank you all for sharing. And I think that many of us can resonate and relate to almost all of the different descriptions that were provided. And certainly when we think about doing taxes or end of life care planning, there is a sense that it has to be scheduled as much as we hate it. And yet we need to get her done, if you will. And so what we're going to really think about today and look at are the different types of advanced care planning templates that are available to you. And hopefully you'll be able to identify one of those templates that fits most consistently with your feelings about paperwork. So I'm going to share my screen and we'll get started today. Excellent. As always, we remain sincerely grateful to the generous donations from the David and Laura Lovell Foundation and the Community Foundation for Southern Arizona. Without those generous donations, we would be unable to provide presentations like this one or to provide personalized assistance to you and to people in our community to complete their advanced care plans. We're going to start with just a little bit of a review, especially if folks have forgotten information or weren't able to attend meetings in the earlier part of our series. And yet we're going to add some new information to that as well. So of course, it's important to begin with an idea of what an advance directive is. And remember that this is a legal document that expresses what your healthcare wishes are and the people that you give your authority to make decisions on your behalf if you are unable to do so. There are 4 specific advance directive documents that are optional but suggested here in the state of Arizona. Those include your medical and the second, your mental health care powers of attorney. These are specifically the documents where you assign your authority to another person or persons to make healthcare or mental health care decisions on your behalf. The third document is the living will. This is where you specifically identify the types of treatments you do and do not wish to receive in various health situations. And remember that your living will is really your voice in written form. It can speak for you if you cannot speak for yourself. And the third one, all of these are optional. The fourth one, all of these are optional, but the fourth one is particularly optional. That is the pre-hospital directive, also known as the Do Not Resuscitate or the DNR form. This is the document where you are granting permission to first responders and emergency healthcare personnel, like in an emergency room, to withhold life-sustaining treatments for you based on the instructions that you provide. So today we're going to take a look at the different templates that are available And we're going to identify the different types of advance directives that are contained within these templates. But it's important to first reflect on why advance directives are both important and necessary. As you may recall, as many as 50% of us are likely to experience a health crisis or emergency that will leave us incapacitated. Incapacitated being unable to make decisions for ourselves or to express those decisions for ourselves. So these documents then are things that you prepare in advance of any of these health crises or emergencies, and they become what is possible for expressing your wishes if you're not able to do so. And in many ways, your living will then becomes an active and legal script for your designated healthcare and mental health care powers of attorney to follow. So we've had someone new join us today. Welcome, we're glad you're here. I would be happy to catch you up after our presentation on the things that you've missed, but at this point, I'll go ahead and continue as we do have an abbreviated time together today. So these documents are necessary and important because they speak for you. They provide authority to others to advocate for you, and they grant permission to healthcare providers to actually honor the wishes that you have. There are a number of advantages to completing your advanced care directives, and to do so now, even though you hate it, even though it's drudgery and something that you dread to do. But and even though right now you may feel like you don't need them yet, right? But these advantages include things like empowering your sense of self-control and dignity in recognizing that today you have the ability to take in information, to process that information, to make difficult and informed choices, and to do so without duress. That's one of the reasons why it's so important to look at advance directives and to make those decisions and complete your forms now. Another thing that it does is it takes the guesswork out of what your options are. If you think for a moment about your loved ones in the midst of a healthcare crisis that you're facing, your loved ones are likely to be incredibly stressed and emotionally drained, and in some ways under duress and potentially even experiencing conflict with healthcare providers, and heaven forbid, other family members or loved ones as well. If you complete your advanced care documents now, it provides them all with clarity so that the important things can be done instead of bickering or fighting about what decisions should be made. For some, planning for the end of life also provides opportunity for you to consider and make decisions about the type of legacy you'd like to leave or how you might like to close out your life. This might mean reconciling broken relationships, completing a bucket list of once-in-a-lifetime activities, or investing time, energy, and resources into a cause or an initiative that are important to you. And last but not least, planning in advance is a way that you can prepare for your future life and to be at peace with yourself and with others. How can I say that with such confidence? Because we know that what creates peace of mind are things like purpose, clarity, and connection. And advanced care planning provides the opportunity for all of those things. Now, in our last session together, we talked about where you can get different kinds of templates for advanced directives. What we're going to focus on today are the no-cost templates that are available to you through Pima Council on Aging. There are 3 that we're going to address today, and those include the 5 Wishes document, the Attorney General's End-of-Life Care Planning Packet, and ASHA's Thoughtful Conversations short forms. In addition to describing these documents, you'll have opportunity to see them at least a little bit on the screen. And it's going to be important to recognize which of the 4 advanced directive documents are contained within each of those templates. So the goal today is that you'll be able to identify a template that really fits for you in terms of your regard for paperwork, but also ensures that you get all of the documents you you desire in your end of life care plan. So we're going to briefly look at this just as we go into the templates, and we'll look at this again a little bit later. So I want you to remember that 5 wishes, template number 1, contains 2 of the 4 documents, your healthcare power of attorney and your living will. The Attorney General's life care planning packet contains all 4, and Thoughtful Conversations contains as many as 3 of the 4. It does not have the do not resuscitate order. So let's take a look at each of these templates in detail, and we'll start with 5 wishes. 5 wishes is a really warm and conversational template. It has lots of narrative and situations and descriptions, and really can help you to think widely about all of the different options you have in end-of-life care planning. Wish 1 is labeled, the person I want to make healthcare decisions for me when I can't make them for myself. This is the wish that would be known as your mental health care power of attorney. In 5 wishes, this person is referred to as an agent, okay? Sometimes there are lots of words that can mean essentially the same thing. And 5 wishes gives you an opportunity to identify 2 additional people to serve as your secondary agents should your primary agent not be able to speak on your behalf. It also provides recommendations for choosing the best possible person to serve as your agent, and gives you some idea about the different choices you have about what permissions you grant that person. For example, you can select or reject your agent's right to choose treatments, consent to your admission to an assisted living or skilled nursing facility, hospital or hospice, or even donate your organs as you have provided instructions for. 5 wishes also in this section gives you some information about how to revoke your medical health care power of attorney should you need to do that. Wish 2 is titled, My Wish for the Kind of Medical Treatment I Want or Don't Want. This is essentially your living will. And this living will section becomes your written voice about the treatments you do or do not wish to receive in the event that you can't speak for yourself. It goes into a number of different situations, and you have the ability to select the desired treatments that you want in specific situations. And some of them include being close to death, in a coma with little chance of recovery, or having permanent brain damage. And in most of, as is true in most of the wishes in the 5 wishes template, there are also places where you can handwrite in those specific instructions you have for certain situations about the types of treatment you do and do not wish to receive. Wish 3, my wish for how comfortable I want to be. This is an opportunity for you to describe what kind of comfort care will be most meaningful to you. When we talk about comfort care, we certainly do mean about management of pain, but 5 wishes goes into much greater detail. It could include things like how clean you would like to be kept versus how private you want things to remain. You might be able to identify sensory experiences you'd like listening to certain types of music or being given warm, soothing baths. You can also identify different kinds of relational or spiritual activities you would like brought to you by loved ones, care staff, or even clergy members. Now, it's really important when we're thinking about comfort to recognize that there's almost always a trade-off. What I mean by that is you might want the most aggressive treatments to manage your pain. The trade-off for experiencing less pain often means that you also will have less clarity. And so you might, on the flip side, want to be as clear as you can be to relate to other people and to express yourself clearly, but recognizing that pain is the payoff for that. So you might also want to find something in the in-between that manages both of those things in a way that you feel comfortable with. You know, end-of-life care planning as a whole is not so much about making right or wrong decisions. It really is about sorting through your values, considering what is important to you, and making the decisions that are best for you at least as you understand them today. Wish for is my wish for how I want people to treat me. This is where you can get into very specific instructions about the type of relationship you want others to have toward you. And so it looks at, would you like people to be with you, or might you prefer solitude? Do you want loving touches extended, or would you rather limit physical contact? Or would you want those around you to be full of joy and humor and celebration, or to be more respectful, somber, even sober about what you're going through? Within this wish, there's also one of the most important end-of-life care decisions, and that is, as it is possible, would you prefer to live out your remaining days at home or in a healthcare facility of some sort? Now we're gonna move to wish 5, which is my wish for what I want loved ones to know. This has to do with all of the relationships that you have with loved ones and that they have with others as well. This is the place where you can make your requests, whether they're fulfilled or not, about amends that you'd like to have see made in your loved ones' lives, or forgiveness that is offered. This wish also provides you with an opportunity to reflect on and describe the ways that you wish to be remembered, or contribute to the planning of a more memorial or celebration of life service. And you can tell them anything else you want them to know in this wish as well. Now, as is true with any advance directive, it is not formally executed. That pun was intended. Bad form, sorry. It is not legal unless, of course, it has your signature and the signature of a witness or a notary, along with the date that the document is signed. This template will say that 2 witnesses are needed. In the state of Arizona, it is only 1. And when you get to the very end of the 5 wishes, there are also instructions about what to do with your original document, how to make copies of that document, how to distribute them to people who will make decisions for you, and how to have conversation with healthcare providers and loved ones about what your wishes are. It even has a wallet card that you can fill out and put into your wallet so that people in the healthcare system will know who to go to in order to get a copy of your advance directives. Heaven forbid you're in a health crisis or emergency situation. So this is a very warm, very approachable set of paperwork, but remember that it only has the healthcare power of attorney and the living will. All right, let's talk a little bit about the Attorney General's life care planning packet. Now, this is a packet, it's a large packet that is very clearly a legal end-of-life plan. It comes from the Attorney General's office out of Phoenix, and it is 35 pages long. For some people, that brings up the I hate it, it's dread. There's no way I want to even look at that. But I don't want you to lose heart, because more than half of that is nothing but instructions and definitions. So when you actually open the packet and you get to page 17, you'll see this form first. And this can be very confusing for people. And I apologize, that did not come out very clearly. This is the registration agreement. The registration agreement is if you choose to have your, pardon me, advance directives registered by paper copy with the Secretary of State. If you choose to do this, this is like the permission slip for that to be done. Now, it's important for you to know that registering your end-of-life documents is completely optional. And the registry is going through a very dramatic shift in our state. By the end of the year, there will no longer be paper files kept in the Secretary of State office. Instead, if you choose, your advance directives will be uploaded to your electronic health record and immediately accessible by healthcare providers in real time as a part of those records. So right now, we're suggesting that people consider holding off on registering their advance directives. But if you'd like to discuss this further For any extenuating or special circumstances you might have, feel free to contact us at PCOA. So we finally get to page 19 of this gigantic packet. And what you have here is the durable healthcare power of attorney. It is a very clear document where you identify the person who can speak on your behalf. And in this document, that person is called as a power of attorney, agent, representative, or surrogate, just to make things a little confusing. It also gives you the opportunity to make decisions about the types of calls that your agent can make on your behalf. So for example, you can make the decision about whether that person can choose to have your body examined in an autopsy, or you can describe whether you would like to leave an anatomical gift, which is also known as organ donation, or even if you prefer cremation or burial. This document, as long as it has the appropriate signatures and date, can stand alone as its own document. And this is particularly important for those who really want other people to advocate for them in healthcare emergencies. The second advanced directive in the AG's packet, the Attorney General's packet, is the mental health care power of attorney. Now, in most states, the medical and mental health care powers of attorney are combined in one document. For some reason in Arizona, we have two, and we do encourage people to identify a person or persons who can function in this mental health care power of attorney role, just like the medical health care power of attorney, because a number of conditions of aging come with risks of behavioral health concerns, whether it be delusions, paranoia, hallucinations, anxiety, depression, or even self-harm. Now, in this mental health power of attorney, you assign a person and a secondary person to function as your mental health care agent, and you get to decide what decisions this person can and cannot make for you, including whether or not you give them permission to have you admitted to an inpatient treatment facility for your safety and well-being. Just like the mental health care power of attorney, this document can stand alone with the right signatures and date. The third advanced directive in the AG's packet is the living will. And again, this is your voice in written form. This document identifies a number of treatments that you can choose or refuse. You choose them by initialing, you refuse them by leaving them blank. You could choose to receive only comfort care or the reduction of pain, or you might select any combination of other treatments like CPR, artificial breathing, electric shock to your heart, or artificial nutrition and hydration. You may also select to prolong your life by selecting an option that is, quote, "I want my life to be prolonged to the greatest extent possible." Remember, this whole process is about identifying your preferences, not about pleasing others or selecting from what you think are right and wrong options. And for those who have no one to act as their medical or mental health care power of attorney, this is perhaps the most important document because it is your voice when you cannot speak for yourself. Like the others, this needs to be signed and dated and include a witness or a notary. The fourth in the AG's packet is what's called the pre-hospital medical care directive, or do not resuscitate order. You will notice that this is on bright orange paper, as it is required to be, and it, pardon me, it is completely optional. This is instructions and permission to first responders and emergency room personnel that says in the event of cardiac or respiratory arrest, you want no life-saving efforts to be taken on your behalf. Since this document is literally a choice for likely death, it must be completed with and signed by your healthcare provider as well as by a witness. We also encourage you to include a photograph of yourself and to display this document in a very prominent location. Most often people will put it on the front of their refrigerator with nothing over top of it. In addition At the end of the Attorney General's packet, they provide a template of a letter that you can give to your representatives. This letter identifies the documents that you've completed and describes their rights and responsibilities to serve on your behalf. Okay. All right. That's the Attorney General's packet. Paperwork and decisions. So here's the third and final one we'll go over today. These are called the Thoughtful Conversations short forms. And as you may recall, this template includes the medical healthcare power of attorney with an optional mental health authority and the living will. What I particularly like about this template is that it puts the living will first. This is, again, perhaps the most important of your advanced directive documents, because the living will is your voice when you are not able to speak. They've made this living will as simple as it can possibly be. You simply initial or check the boxes of the types of treatments that you wish to receive. And the brief list includes things like CPR, a breathing machine, feeding tubes, IV fluids, dialysis, antibiotics, or blood transfusions. On this form, you can also select to be an organ donor if that is valuable to you. And it's a signature, the date, and a witness or a notary. The second one in Thoughtful Conversations is the healthcare power of attorney. And here again, this refers to your power of attorney as your medical decision maker. You can identify your primary decision maker as well as the secondary decision maker. And there's a simple statement that you can agree to or leave blank that also provides that authority for your agent or your decision maker to make mental health decisions as well. Once again, this document, like all of the others, is executed when you sign and date and have a witness or notary do the same. These really are this short. It's 2 pages. All right. So we go back to this slide because it's important. You may have a sense of which template feels most comfortable to you, but does that template contain all of the documents that you wish to have? Remember, complete advanced care planning means that you select the right template, what's comfortable, and that it has all of the documents that you wish to have. So let's take a look here. Now, this presentation may actually have brought up more questions for you than it has answers. And if that is the case, or if you'd like to talk with someone about filling out one or more of these templates with assistance, feel free to contact us at PCOA. We can actually help you to use the template that's best for you and to mix and match and to ensure that you have the documents that you need to make it complete. I am sincerely grateful for your time today. And I want you to know that we have an abundance of resources to provide to you in addition to that personalized assistance or these templates. We can provide you with a glossary of end-of-life terms or a list of frequently asked questions that has very easy to understand answers. And know that it is our desire, the desire of our heart, to be with you in your journey through end-of-life care planning in order that the end of your life will receive as much beauty, care, and respect as it did in the beginning. Thank you so much for being with me today. I'll stay on here for a few minutes if you have additional questions, comments, or concerns. And thank you for your time. Have a lovely afternoon.
Thank you, Deb.
Thanks, Deb.
Hello, Shermans.
Hey, how are you? I missed the first 2 sessions. My schedule's crazy. I'm in charge